My first question to you is, how did you get started in acting? How did your career begin?
It began in Iowa. I was born in England, but my sister married an American soldier, and then we moved over when I was 2 years, and that soldier was from Iowa. So I was raised in Marshalltown, which was about an hour north of Des Moines.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't, because the school, somebody calling. I wanted to be in a play, but I couldn't because of the curriculum didn't allow it. I lived in a large town, but when we moved to a small town, I got in a play, and I thought, oh, this is fun. And then in another play, and I became the president of the drama, and I said, wow, this is fun. You couldn't do this for a living. This is back in the 70s. Mm-hmm. And my drama teacher said, yeah, you can. This is before all video and film exploded. And I said, yeah, people do. And a troupe from the Guthrie Theater doing Pirates of the Caribbean or something. Pirates of Penzance came through, and this troupe came in. They set up. They all went to bed and slept, and then they did the play, and they were gone in the morning. And I thought, wow, it's like not like a circus, but gypsies came in and did this play and left, and I thought, wow. And then I couldn't get into college, actually. I tried. A couple of my grade point wasn't good enough. Luckily, I had a counselor that said, look, there's a private you can go to. And so I went to Simpson College, and I thought, well, I can't go there. I was just a poor white kid with my British mother. And then the mentor, the instructor there, was from New York City. His name was Alan Langdon. Mm-hmm. And he was a big deal in New York City, but I don't know why. He was in Iowa, he traveled to Ohio, and then he traveled to Oklahoma, and I followed him. And then he went back to New York and opened up the actor space. And he became head of NYU, and then he became head of Circle in the Square Theater. So he was right key, and so that's what helped. And then the dean of the drama school in Oklahoma, I followed him. Look, you can act and direct. Where are you going? And all the actors coming back from L.A. and New York said, oh, you're an actor. What restaurant do you work at? And I thought, I have a funny black passport, British passport. I'll go there. And I did. And then the next thing I know, I thought, well, I'll give London a go. Everybody is trying to get to L.A. and New York to get into film. And, of course, they snapped me up because there's not many Americans. It's a bit like the Brits. All in L.A., I did the opposite. I was an American, went to, and then I have a British passport, you see, with a funny American accent. So I started getting lots of work. And I thought, well, this is good. I think my first role was with Bill Murray in Batman, in The Razor's Edge, then Batman and whatnot. And I thought, well, this isn't bad. It's a good business. The supply and demand for Americans was good. And the supply is very little. So that's how it began. That's how it all...
Yeah. So do you still do theater, or just now film and television?
Yes. I remember, I think I was working in a Mexican cantina in the middle of London, and I had to go over a bridge called Waterloo Bridge, and there was the National Theatre. It was like the Lincoln Center in New York. And I saw it, and I thought, one day I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. And, of course, when they do American classics like Streetcar Named Desire, or I think, what else did I do? Sweet Bird of Youth, Tennessee Williams, or Glenn Miller, Arthur Miller, I got cast. Actually, I got cast with Miranda Richardson in a play called, a David Mamet play called Edmund. And it was at the Royal Court. That was my first job. I came over to London, 7 years, no work. I was trying to make my way, and then I got this job in a key play with a top director in the Royal Court Theatre, the centre of London, and then he moved to the National Theatre. So eventually I went with him to do some American classics. So I've done 4 or 5, and it's rare that Americans work at the National Theatre. They're just a handful. But because at this point I was, young and thin. Now I got a bit older and more overweight. But I still worked hard at becoming a good actor, rather than just getting cast by being American or being a large American. And so it was great that I'd got that, and that's what got me, a reputation in London as a good actor, and that's why they considered me for the Bible. Mm-hmm. And I did the Bible with, I played King Herod in Morocco with the Royal Shakespeare Company. And of course, they're all very British, and I I was very nervous, but I did it with a British accent and fooled them. They all thought I was British, so it proves that it goes the other way.
Yeah. You always learn to be a good actor. You never stop learning, and there's always room to keep learning to be a new actor, being good at it.
Well, here's one thing. I have a directing degree, and so when I first landed in London, I thought I'll direct a play. And then I didn't see any actors that were good enough. And I realized how good the process that I had, because everybody takes what's the Bible of the acting world is called the An Actor Prepares by Konstantin Stanislavski. And so I opened up a workshop, and that went for 2 years, and it became very, very popular. Actually, they've offered me again to run a workshop at the Pegasus Theatre in Oxford, along with the Bristol Old Vic, which is a very, very and acting schools. And I said to this actress once, wow, you're very good. Where did you train? She said the Bristol Old Vic. That was Miranda Richardson. And so I've always been held the process very in a high regard, because that leads to the product. Because a lot of the clients, whether TV or film or even voiceover, they know the result they want, but they just don't know how to get there. And they're not concerned with the process. They just want the result. So that's by having those has led me to a good work and kept me concerned with the process.
Yeah.
Which leads to the product.
Mm-hmm. What do you find is the most challenging part about being an actor? What do you find are some of the difficulties being an actor?
On stage or off stage?
On stage.
Pardon?
On stage.
On stage, if you're heavy with circumstances, if you're burdened by a lot of given circumstances, Harold Pinter is very good because he doesn't give many circumstances, so you can fill it in with your own life. But circumstances, say, for example, A Streetcar Named Desire, as you know, you're from Louisiana, to play a woman who's a prostitute, alcoholic, French dame, to play Blanche. There's a lot of circumstances and very difficult role to fill. And so roles that are far away, not in facet, because you never leave yourself. You don't ever become someone else. So Nowadays, they cast, a pilot has to be a pilot, or a handicapped person must play the handicapped role, or someone who is gay has to be gay to play the role. What I say is, look, I played King Herod, but I wasn't born in the 4th century A.D. Right. Somewhere along the line, casting directors have to use their imagination, which is what is our world. This is an imagined world. But the question is, like I asked my daughter, when she plays with two-year-old doll, plastic doll, she believes that it's real. She's endowed it with belief. So is it unreal? You and I know it's a plastic doll, but not when one endows it with belief. It becomes, therefore, real in the imagined world. And so that's the world where we live and what I run in the workshops. And so that's the challenge, is to have roles that are far from me, that are fun to use facets of yourself that you try to challenge yourself. I remember I was in a play called The Darker Face of the Earth by Rita Dove, who wrote On the Bus with Rosa Parks. I think she was from Virginia, but she rewrote Oedipus, the Greek tragedy Oedipus, but set it in the time of plantation and slavery. So it was mostly a black cast, and I was the overseer, the slave driver or whatever. And I had such a problem with that because it was so far removed from my own beliefs. But I had to find a way. I remember vomiting. That was a challenge. Rewarding. I think King Herod also was rewarding because, you can't get better script than the Bible. It's the Bible, King Herod. And then when you have, King Herod's circumstances, not a nice guy. The more I read, I thought, oh my God. So that was fun because it was right out there, and we were shooting in Morocco, and I remember pinching myself. I can't believe I'm in a wonderful space and doing a wonderful script and a wonderful part. Well, I was going to say wonderful, but, memorable part. So that was the rewards of it. But, so that's the challenge, is to become one with a part. And it's easy to always be a large, overweight soprano type. Threatening guy. It's nice to be, gay sergeant or somebody that's far, is a stretch.
Yeah, it's always fun to play the challenging characters or characters that you have to stretch farther, that you're not, So and I always love a challenge, so it's fun to play those characters, I imagine.
Bad guys are fun.
Oh, yeah.
Good guys are boring. Bad guys are fun. I don't know. It's just more interesting types, I don't know. It always comes naturally to me. I don't know. And then I kind of got large. I know I have a lot of friends that are boxers or, heavy guys that are such types. They won't want to become an actor. But I was a, thin, good-looking guy as an actor, but I've become a type because I got large and, overweight and big and things. So, I'm just so happy to be out of the American casting, system, because it doesn't work. I've done over 100 films in television. Worked with Kubrick, 3 Luc Besson films. Heavy Rain, which was a popular game. great directors.